Chapter 881. Everly's face had slimmed down considerably. The caregiver brought her dinner over and said, "Miss Hilton, you just had a miscarriage. You need to rest and recover. You have to eat more food. You're still young and can recover quickly. You'll be able to get pregnant again soon. Take it away. Miss Hilton, please don't make things difficult for me. I'm just a lowly employee." As soon as the caregiver said that, Everly swept everything off the tray, scattering the food onto the floor. "Get out." The caregiver carefully picked up the scraps and broken plates. She didn't dare to utter another word. Looking at the snow outside her window, Everly finally understood how Olivia felt. One thing didn't make sense to her. Henry already knew that Olivia was in Aldenvine. He wouldn't keep that a secret from Ethan. Wouldn't Ethan be overjoyed to know that Olivia was still alive? Why would he leave Olivia to her own devices? Did he really come to terms with her departure? But Everly didn't believe Ethan had really given up on Olivia. He might just be cooking up an even bigger scheme. After she hung up, Olivia had a worried expression on her face. She didn't know how Everly was doing, nor did she know what happened between Everly and Henry. From the looks of it, they weren't in a happy relationship. She received a text on her phone. It was from Everly. She thought it would be another attempt to feign happiness, but there was only a short sentence. "Be wary of Ethan Miller." Olivia was dumbfounded. She immediately tried to call Everly again, but her phone had already been switched off. What did she mean by that? Did Everly know something? Olivia felt uneasy. What happened to Everly? Why would her phone be switched off so abruptly? In the hospital, Everly was glaring at the man who took her phone away. He was a handsome and elegant man, but his actions were heartless. "Give it back, Henry Cinder." Henry switched off the phone and threw it out the window. He didn't even care if it hit someone. "Miss Hilton, didn't I tell you that you shouldn't meddle in other people's business? You should focus on yourself." He leaned in with a tender expression on his face. "I heard that you broke the plates again. Why don't you want to eat? Do you want me to feed you?" Everly felt frustrated when she looked at Henry's gentle expression. She knew that he was a despicable man underneath his gentle appearance. Henry brought over a bowl of soup and said, "You can't just go without food. Come, open wide." Everly turned her face away. She didn't even want to talk to him. She heard him sigh. "Miss Hilton, I seem to remember you being very obedient when you just started working for me. You would listen to whatever I said. Unlike now." Henry leaned over and cast a shadow on Everly. It was like the darkness that had shrouded her heart all the time. Everly was instinctively afraid of him. She shivered when his fingers brushed against her face. Henry whispered in her ear, "If you don't eat, I'll feed that baby's body to the dogs." Everly's eyes widened in shock. She almost thought she heard wrong. "What did you say? You crazy bastard, the baby might not have been born. He is still your flesh and blood." Henry sneered. "Flesh and blood. To be precise, he's just an undeveloped piece of meat." He pressed against her forehead. A hint of viciousness flashed on his face. "Don't test my patience, Everly." After saying that, he took out a sapphire necklace and put it around her neck. He said lovingly, "Look, it suits you. Don't worry. The person that hurt our child will never see the light of day again. You need to focus on getting healthy again. Don't think unnecessary thoughts." Everly's face was pale. She felt chills down her spine, and her forehead was covered in sweat. Chapter 882. Olivia felt uneasy ever since she got the text from Everly. Everly was with Henry. Maybe she had some information about Ethan. Maybe she sent that message because she didn't know what exactly was going on. What did Henry do to her? Olivia wanted to return to the city, but she feared she might miss Jack's call. She tried to call Everly's phone for an entire day but to no avail. She felt restless. She couldn't just forsake Everly. After telling Martha about it, she left Alicia on the island and snuck back into Aldenvine on a boat. Ethan was notified as soon as Olivia left the island. He monitored her every move on the island closely, but he didn't understand why she didn't wait for Jack's call on the island. Why would she want to return to Aldenvine? It was very cold in Aldenvine that day. There weren't many people on the streets. Olivia hailed a cab and went to Everly's apartment. Everly bought this unit after she worked as a salesperson. It wasn't that big. It had 2 bedrooms and a living room. It had a very homely decor. Olivia used to visit very often, so the security guard knew who she was. He let her into the premises without any trouble. Olivia knocked on the door, but there was no response. She felt her heart skip a beat, so she quickly keyed in the password and entered the apartment. The place was shrouded in darkness. The air was stale, like the place had been vacated for some time. Olivia turned on the lights and saw a pair of slippers at the entrance. Why would Everly set out a pair of slippers during winter? There was only one logical conclusion. She hadn't been living in this apartment since summer. Olivia went to talk with the security guard for more information. You mean Miss Hilton? It's true that she didn't come back here often. She must be in a relationship. Initially, she would come back once every couple of months. But she started coming back less and less. I even asked her if I should help her list her unit for sale. This location is great, and the market has been looking good. She could make a good profit selling her unit. Have you seen her boyfriend before? Olivia asked. I've seen a man a few times, but I'm not sure if that was her boyfriend. But 2 weeks ago, I saw her when she came back to get some stuff. Her belly was bulging. It seemed like she was pregnant. Olivia's expression turned serious. What did you say? Her belly was bulging. Yeah, she was wearing a form-fitting sweater and was carrying her jacket on her arm. She had such a good figure, so that couldn't be excess fat. I reckon she was about 4 months pregnant. Everly was pregnant, but Olivia had just met her 2 days ago. She wore heels, and there wasn't a bulge on her stomach when she removed her jacket. A 4-month pregnancy would be impossible to miss. There was only one possibility. She had a miscarriage. That explains why she didn't drink anything cold and looked so weak and tired. Olivia even asked why she applied so much blush on her face. It was because she didn't want Olivia to see how pale her face was. She just had a miscarriage not long ago. Olivia finally understood why Everly had been staring at Alicia the whole time. She felt terrible for Everly when she thought about the look in her eyes. The security guard's curiosity was piqued. Is Miss Hilton getting married? If so, please congratulate her for me. Olivia swallowed the lump in her throat and asked, do you know where she's living now? One time, when she was taking a taxi, I happened to be outside smoking. I overheard her telling the taxi driver to go to Imperial Vista. I don't know if that's her new address. Thanks. Olivia nodded, and then she walked outside. She felt her body getting abnormally cold as she looked at the people walking around. Everly had lost her child. She must be in so much pain. Chapter 883. Olivia was a mother, too. She had experienced the pain of losing her children twice. She felt even more worried about Everly after she knew what had happened to her. Given Everly's personality, she would have told Olivia about her miscarriage if she was in a normal relationship with Henry. But she didn't. It would suggest that their relationship needed to be kept a secret. What would come out of a relationship with an imbalance of power? Olivia was very anxious. She wanted to find Everly as soon as possible. Imperial Vista was one of the most expensive neighborhoods in the city. Luckily, Ethan had a housing unit there. He had transferred its ownership to Olivia. She didn't care about the specifics. In a place like Imperial Vista, only property owners and people who have received permission from owners could enter the premises. The rules were stricter here. The property manager was very polite when he realized Olivia was a property owner. Welcome back, miss. Olivia managed to get Henry's unit number with an excuse she came up with. Coincidentally, their units were in the same building. But her unit was on the first floor while Henry's was on the top floor. She had never stayed here before, so she had never encountered Henry here. Since she had Henry's address, she wasn't about to sneak into other people's residences for fear of exposing herself. The people living in this neighborhood were rich and powerful. There were also some top celebrities living there. The occupancy rate was only at 60%. At that hour, not many of the units had their lights on. There was a total of 7 floors, with 1 residence on each floor. The lights of the bedroom and living on the top floor were on. Someone was home. Olivia took out some cash when she saw a cleaning lady cleaning up snow some distance away. "Madam, please help me out." The cleaning lady accepted the bribe and helped Olivia get upstairs. Olivia hid in the stairwell as she watched the cleaning lady ring the doorbell. The door opened, and it was Henry, in his pajamas, who answered it. He looked as gentlemanly as ever. "Mr. Cinder, some resident had just reported that her child had gone missing. Since the child is very young, she's not sure if he might have entered the wrong unit. Have you seen a boy this tall entering the wrong unit?" "I haven't. Do you need me to help you inform the authorities?" The cleaning lady shook her head. "No need. We've checked the surveillance footage. The child should still be in the area. I'll stop bothering you and look somewhere else." Henry closed the door. He adjusted his glasses with a glint of inquiry in his eyes. There were only 6 units in the southern area. The first 3 units were vacant. There were only 2 other residences. One unit had a family without children, and the other belonged to a celebrity who was working overseas most of the time and only came back in the summer. Where did the child come from? Besides, the public area was under surveillance. They only needed to check the cameras to see if a child had come to his place. Why did they need someone to come and confirm? Something wasn't right. The cleaning lady met up with Olivia at a corner. "Miss, I took a look. There was a woman in the living room of Mr. Cinder's unit. She looked sickly and pale." Olivia took out Everly's picture and asked, "Is this the woman you saw?" "Yes, this is the one I saw. Thanks, lady." Olivia handed the cleaning lady another wad of cash. She had confirmed that Everly was here but couldn't contact her by phone. What did she have to do to see Everly? She pulled her hat lower and left the area. While walking, she accidentally ran into another woman. Olivia was afraid of attracting attention, so she apologized and left quickly without looking up. She didn't notice the woman freeze in place. The woman turned around and stared in the direction Olivia went. After a while, a hint of anger flashed on the woman's face. "How are you still alive?" Chapter 884. That night, Olivia tossed and turned in bed. She couldn't fall asleep. She didn't know how she could help Everly. Was she staying with Henry willingly? Or did Everly want to get away like she did? She couldn't think of a better solution, so she decided to ask Everly in person. The following day, Olivia started to investigate Henry's whereabouts. She kept it up for a few days. Everly's miscarriage should have happened recently. She had been resting at Henry's place without even coming out. A lady was responsible for buying the groceries, cooking, and cleaning every day. She was very tight-lipped. Olivia tried to cozy up to her, but she didn't get any information from the lady. A week had passed. It had been around 2 weeks since Everly's miscarriage. Given her personality, she would be out the door very soon. On the 6th day of her tailing Henry, Olivia heard him asking Ethan to join him for some drinks. Henry rubbed his temples and said with a troubled expression, "Does Olivia really think we haven't noticed her?" He took out a stack of photos. They were all of Olivia when she was tailing him. She looked adorable while she was poking her head around in the photos. "Or do you think I have nothing better to do other than play this game with her every day?" Henry discovered Olivia quite some time ago. He had to order the bodyguards to ignore her so she wouldn't know he already knew. "Take your woman back with you. I don't have time for her games." Ethan took the photos away like they were some treasures. "Where's the film?" Henry looked at Ethan and said, "Do you have to be so creepy?" "It's none of your business. I want to keep photos of my wife for myself." Ethan didn't think his actions were embarrassing at all. In fact, he was a little proud of himself. He didn't get to see such a cute side of Olivia that often. Henry shook his head in resignation. "You're hopeless. Both of you are messed up. She's tailing me, and you're tailing her. Can't you just play your games at home? You'll understand if you're in my shoes." Henry swayed the glass and sipped on the wine elegantly. "I don't understand, nor do I want to. Women are all the same. Give them the carrot when they're obedient or the stick when they act out of line." Everyone had a different view on relationships. Henry didn't understand Ethan's perspective, and vice versa. "It's like you're training a dog." Ethan hit the nail on the head. "You dote on your wife too much. You're so obsessed with her, but you don't even get to hold her hand. You even have to sneak around. To be frank, I find that appalling. Ethan didn't explain himself. He looked at Henry with a weary expression. You'll regret your actions someday. Yeah, right. Henry finished his wine with a sneer on his face. Do you know the biggest difference between us? Women are like playthings to me. Why would I feel regret for a toy? I'll just get another one if I grow tired of my current one. I'll never let a woman control my emotions. I hope you still feel the same way after 3 years. Love was something that would trap someone in its grasp before they realized it, and it would be too late to break free by then. The more clear-minded they were, the more deeply they would fall in love, and the more it would hurt. Alright, what about the person I asked you to investigate? My son is still with him. Investigate. I don't even know what he looks like. How am I supposed to look into him? Henry rolled his eyes at Ethan. Then, he added, but I did get some information. The person used to be a member of the Black Ravens. He is an S-rank assassin. His code name was Shadowhawk. Chapter 885. Ethan was dumbfounded. He's a member of the Black Ravens. He's a deserter, to be precise. He ran away from the organization 2 years ago. He's currently wanted by the Black Ravens. So, he's been running around and evading the Black Ravens. Finding him will not be an easy task. Henry poured himself another glass of wine. I've already told my brother about this. He'll also keep an eye out. He'll let you know if he finds anything. What are you going to do next? Do you plan to follow behind a woman for the rest of your life? Liv is different. Ethan ran his fingers over the photos. One of them had most of her face on display. He looked at the photo affectionately. I've experienced the pain of losing her too many times. Now, I just want to keep her safe. Man, you've put yourself in such a pathetic position in this relationship. You're not the man you used to be. Henry sneered. You better not fall in love then. Ethan chuckled before he noticed something. This photo, what's wrong with it? Ethan picked out 2 more photos from the pile. Both had Olivia in the front and center, but Ethan pointed at 2 people in the photos. It's the same person. Henry compared the photos closely. The person's clothes and appearance were different in the 2 photos, but the person's figure and the way they held items with their left hand were identical. No one would notice such minute similarities in photos, but people like Ethan had extraordinarily sharp senses. Both of them noticed the problem almost immediately. Where's the film? I'll have someone send it over right away. Where's Liv? Don't worry, she followed me to the bar. She was right outside when I came in. I had my bodyguards keep an eye on her. In the past few days that Olivia had been tailing Henry, Ethan didn't want his men to be found out. So, he asked Henry to have his men watch over her. Henry was always at the same places every day. Nothing could possibly go wrong. But Ethan noticed something wrong with the photos. Someone was tailing Olivia. The person was clearly scouting out the locations. Olivia followed Henry to the bar. She intended to get a grasp on his daily routine so she could come up with the best plan to save Everly. She didn't like bars because all sorts of sketchy people were in these places, even if it was the most opulent bar in the city. The high-class places had even more dubious activities than the regular bars. Olivia wore a thick down jacket and a furry hat. She even covered most of her face with her scarf. The other patrons of the bar scoffed at her attire. Olivia tried to push through the crowd to get closer to Henry. She wanted to know who he was here to meet. She also wanted to see if he led a decadent life or if he was cheating on Everly. Suddenly, a young man tapped her shoulder. Hey, old lady in the down jacket, are you here to catch your cheating husband? Olivia ignored him. It seemed like she was the designated target of a game of his. So, he didn't leave her alone. Help me out, lady. I'll pretend to be your boyfriend later if you do. Look at me, I'm young and handsome. I'll definitely be able to show your husband's mistress up. Leave me alone. It's very simple. It's just a game. The young man yanked her scarf off. He was stunned when he saw her face. You're so beautiful, miss. Why don't we go out on a date? Olivia was rendered speechless. I told you to leave me alone. Just then, a tall man appeared. Can't you see that she's not interested? Go away. What's your problem, old man? As the young man was talking, a group of his friends stood up. They looked like high school athletes. They were all very well built. Fuck, the tall man punched the young man in the face. Then, he grabbed Olivia's hand and started to run outside before Olivia realized what was going on. Run. Chapter 886. The man dragged Olivia away before she could react. He was followed by a group of tall guys. Let go of me, Olivia yelled. It's dangerous here. It's not safe for a woman like you. The man started to run faster. He ran into a server, which caused him to spill alcohol all over the place. Henry's bodyguards caught up. Chaos ensued. The man had a tight grip on Olivia's arm. She frowned and said coldly, I told you to let go. Young lady, I'm doing this for your sake. I'm taking you to someplace safe. He brought her to an alley as he was talking. Olivia began to realize how bad her situation was. The man was very strong. She wouldn't stand a chance against him. Her gaze fell on an abandoned shovel in the alley. She picked it up and swung it at the man's head. He reacted quickly. He let go of her arm and took a few steps back. Don't be mistaken, miss. I'm just trying to help. Olivia said expressionlessly, stay away from me. At that moment, two dark figures rushed out from the trash cans behind Olivia and leapt at her. She dodged to the side and swung the shovel at one of the men. Her intuition was right. This man created a commotion on purpose to take her away. She could sense the air of danger from the man from the beginning. He wasn't a regular Joe. He was probably an assassin. These people were after her. Who are you? The men blocked the entrance of the alley. One of them rotated his wrist and said, Boss, don't waste time talking to her. Just do it. I'm sorry, Miss Fordham. The man who brought her to the alley took out a pistol with a silencer attached. They planned to kill her all along. The snow was swirling in the air. Olivia looked at the men before her. Who sent you? You don't need to know. The man pulled the trigger, and a gunshot sounded. A loud bang sounded in the quiet alley, and blood splattered. There was a bloody hole in the man's chest. He fell to Olivia's feet. Boss. The other men were shocked by the sudden turn of events. Who did it? Two more gunshots sounded. The shooter's aim was precise. The two other men dropped to the ground. Olivia noticed a tall man standing in the alley. He was covered in a cloak. She couldn't tell who he was. Was he her ally or enemy? The man took off his hat and revealed the easily recognizable totem mask. Olivia looked at him in disbelief. How did you get here, Jack? It's a long story. Come with me. Jack left the alley with Olivia in tow. They hadn't gotten too far when Olivia turned around and saw Ethan and Henry rushing out of the bar. Ethan, why was he here? She could feel the blood freeze up in her veins. When did he return? Jack led her to a shabby black car. The inconspicuous car drove right past Ethan. Olivia pressed her face against the window and looked at him in a daze. If Henry was here to meet Ethan, it would mean he knew she had met with Everly. That would mean that he knew she was still alive. Did he fall out of love for her, or was everything under his control? In the swirling snow, Olivia saw Ethan run to the alley anxiously. Liv. Ethan's heart-wrenching cry echoed in the alley. Chapter 887. Ethan had a bad feeling in his heart when he saw blood at the entrance of the alley. He saw a few corpses lying in the alley. His vision blacked out, and he almost fell. Was Olivia dead? He didn't even dare to entertain that thought. Henry swiftly went over to the bodies. After confirming the identities of the dead bodies, he said, Don't worry, your wife isn't among them. It was only then that Ethan let out a sigh of relief. He finally regained energy as he checked the bodies. They died not long ago. A bodyguard identified the body. This man was the one who took Miss Fordham away. Back then, we ran after them right away, but they had messed up the bar so badly that we were held back by some people. In such a short time, Olivia had disappeared, but the man was dead. Was this the work of Olivia? But he hadn't given her the gun yet. Where did she get her weapon from? It's not too possible. These men all died in one shot. It requires someone with good aim, which means that there was a third party present. The events that happened tonight were totally out of Ethan's expectations. He was beginning to regret attending the meeting. If he hadn't gone, Olivia wouldn't be in trouble. They didn't go far. Jack sped all the way, taking Olivia into the wild. Then, he abandoned the car. He had already hidden another car there. Get in the car. Olivia trusted him unconditionally. The car drove into a huge forest. Jack alerted her, it's going to get a little bumpy later. Grab onto something. All right. The two never spoke a word throughout the journey. Jack was a man of few words, after all. Also, they were more or less just normal friends. They were following a dirt path in the forest, and the car was jolting a lot. It was also very difficult to see ahead of them. With help from the headlights, they could only see a few yards within their radius. Olivia gripped the handle tightly. Finally, she asked the question. Is Zach all right? He's doing quite well. You'll see him soon. Olivia sighed in relief. That's good to hear. Thank you for what you did in the past 2 years, Jack. The situation was urgent back then, so I couldn't explain it to you. Later on, someone was trying to kill me, so I didn't dare contact you. I could only roam around with the children. It's a good thing that you didn't die. The car pulled to a stop. Olivia saw a small wooden cabin nearby. The person inside seemed to have heard the sounds of the car. A head poked out of the window. It was the boy she met on the ship that night. Olivia felt a stir in her heart. The car had just stopped when she eagerly dashed toward the boy. Zach noticed her as well. He opened the door and came out of the cabin. But he wasn't too sure of the identity of the woman before him. In a small and tender voice, he asked, "Mommy?" Olivia didn't answer. Instead, she pulled the child into her embrace. Tears streamed down her face. "My child, I finally found you." When Zach felt her warm embrace, he began to cry pitifully as well. "Mommy, Mommy, Alicia, good boy. Alicia is in a very safe place. Don't worry, she's fine." The children had been apart for so long that Zach must have been extremely worried in that period. Jack parked the car. "It's cold outside. Let's go in and talk." "Okay." Olivia picked up the child, her eyes filled with a loving look. She nuzzled against Zach's cheek. At that moment, she felt as if she were in a dream. She had truly found her child. Zach wrapped his arms around her neck, his large eyes examining her time and again. He was also in disbelief. The mother he had dreamed of had finally appeared. Chapter 888. Olivia was about to ask Jack what happened back then when her phone vibrated in her pocket. It was Joshua. Olivia answered the call. "Hello, Miss Fordham, where are you right now?" Joshua sounded a little anxious. Before sending the children to the island, Olivia had already paid off Joshua's salary. Why would he contact her at a time like this? "What's the matter?" "Something happened to Logan. Please come and visit him." Olivia hadn't quite figured out the reason why Ethan had appeared at the bar. When she heard that something happened to Logan, her first reaction was worry. What happened to him? Logan was ill a few days ago, and he drank a lot tonight. He had alcohol poisoning, and I've already sent him to the hospital. He kept mumbling about meeting you. Where are you, Miss Fordham? Are you free to visit him? Olivia didn't know where she was right now. Even if she did, she couldn't recklessly reveal her location. I don't think I can. How is he now? He has acute severe alcohol poisoning, and it caused bleeding in his upper digestive tract. He coughed up a lot of blood, and he was sent in for emergency treatment. He still hasn't come out. I'm worried that, if they can't save him, he won't be able to see you for one last time. Olivia had no idea why Logan would get so unlucky. How did he drink so much that he got into this situation? Miss Fordham, Logan has always liked you. To avoid adding to your burdens, he hid his love in his heart. If he couldn't see you, the regret would stay with him for life. Olivia was hesitant. She still didn't know where those people came from, and her life was in danger. Joshua, I can't come over for now. I'm sorry. With that, she ended the call. She was already in danger. She couldn't get the children involved, too. Jack stared at her phone warily. Who is it from? A friend. He's not a bad man. He isn't a threat. I don't believe anyone else but you. We're not safe right now, and I had risked my life to get close to you. Olivia had too many questions in her mind. How did you know that I'm still alive? I saw your name on the assassination list on the dark web. Someone paid to get you killed. Jack told her everything. Now that things have come to this point, I'm not afraid to tell you. I was once a member of the Black Ravens. I wanted to warn you of the danger in my way. But in the end, the organization still planned that assassination. When I hurried to the scene, I found the 2 children. They were only choked by the amniotic fluid, so I brought them away. I wanted to find a chance to tell you. Later on, the Black Ravens lost too many of its members. I was also labeled a traitor, and the organization sent orders to have me killed. I had no choice but to run for my life with the children. Olivia asked, then do you know who it was that paid to have me killed back then? Jack shook his head. Only the ones in charge know about top secrets like that. Even if I asked around in secret, I could only find a subordinate of that person. I couldn't figure out who it was exactly. Because of its huge loss, the Black Ravens removed you from its list and no longer accepted any requests involving you. Just last night, I suddenly found that your bounty post was accepted by someone else early on. I spent a long time trying to figure out who it was. Then, I hurried over. Fortunately, I managed to save you. Meanwhile, after Joshua ended the call, Brent moved his fingers away from the keyboard. Mr. Miller, I found her. Mrs. Miller's location is in the forest in the western suburbs. Judging from her voice, she's not in danger for now. Should we head there? Chapter 889. Joshua had set his phone on speaker mode. So, of course, Ethan heard that as well. When Olivia answered the call, her voice sounded natural. She also sounded a little wary, and she refused to reveal her location to Joshua. She went to the western suburbs in such a short amount of time, so someone must have taken her away. She didn't ask for help over the phone, which means that this person wasn't a threat to her. They probably even helped her kill those assassins. Kelvin had a puzzled look on his face. Judging by the injuries on those men, they died from one shot. It was 1 against 3, so this person must have great marksmanship. Since when has Mrs. Miller gotten to know such an amazing person? Ethan said, this person has great aim, will kill someone without hesitation, and doesn't pose a threat to live. Only one person comes to mind. He thought of that man he encountered on the ship some time ago. It's Jack. Olivia had returned to Aldenvine just to meet Jack. It had been so many days, so the code she left must have matched up with Jack's. Mrs. Miller should be safe if she's with Jack. What do we do now? Should we get her back? After all, they're alone together. If we go right now, we'll be exposing my identity. Ethan had finally gotten close to Olivia by making use of his identity as Logan, hence earning Olivia's trust. If she realized that he was Logan, Olivia would be furious. He had spent 6 months slowly building her trust in him. It would be destroyed in an instant. Send someone to protect her in the shadows, and don't ever show themselves. Alicia is still on the island, so she will eventually look for her child. Understood. Remember, Jack is very good at shaking off surveillance. Do not get too close to them. Got it, Mr. Miller. We'll get to it right away. Ethan looked at Brent. Investigate the identities of those dead men. Olivia was still alive, and the news was making the rounds. Could it be that she had revealed her face on the ship? The enemy was quite vicious. If Jack hadn't arrived on time today, Olivia's life might truly be in danger. Ethan had to guard against that. The furniture in the cabin was quite simple. There was a wooden bed with a mattress on it. There was only one blanket as well. Zack felt sleepy early on, but he held out for a long time. Jack stopped the conversation as well. It's getting late, so you and Zack should go to sleep first. This place is safe, at least. There's only one bed. I'll keep watch for the night. You and Zack should sleep. This place isn't very comfortable, so please endure it. Even so, Jack was kind enough to boil some water so that Olivia could wash up a little before going to bed. Holding Zack in her arms, Olivia was wide awake. Jack was sitting at the door, leaning against the wood as he closed his eyes and rested. Olivia felt bad for him. As if sensing her gaze, Jack said calmly, "You don't have to mind me. I've already gotten used to life like this. We have a cabin here, which can shield us from the elements. It's a decent enough place. Just go to sleep. We'll make plans tomorrow. After going through so much, Olivia was tired out as well. There was only a candle lighting up the cabin, and it exuded a gentle light. She observed Zach's face in detail. He was a boy, but he looked very much like her. He had a light dimple on his left cheek, and when he smiled, he looked adorable. If he wore a skirt, people could mistake him for a girl. Olivia gently caressed Zach on the back. She finally felt whole in her heart. The child she had been searching for and missing for so long was right in her arms. She thought of the tortuous days and nights in the past. They weren't in vain, after all. She would protect her children well. She wouldn't let them go through the pain of losing their mother again. Olivia gently planted a kiss on Zach's forehead. Go to sleep, darling. I'll always love you. Chapter 890. The night quickly passed by. The room was very cold, so a mere blanket couldn't provide much warmth. Olivia thought that she wouldn't fall asleep. But oddly enough, she felt very reassured with her child in her arms. So, she quickly went to sleep. Like a small fireplace, Zach cuddled in her arms and provided her with unending warmth. Olivia had a dream. In the dream, she was in a vast grassland. She held her two children's hands as she ran freely. Ethan stood at the end of their path, waving toward them. Liv. Olivia's eyes shot open. It was already bright outside, and Jack was long gone from the room. The windows didn't have curtains, so Olivia could see outside right away. It had been snowing the whole night, so everything she saw was white. Olivia quietly left Zach and got out of bed. When she opened the door, a cold breeze blew in her face. She had seen many snowy scenes before, but she was still shocked by what she saw. It was simply too beautiful. Endless white enveloped everything under the sun, washing away all the filth and leaving only clean whiteness. Olivia spotted a trail of a small animal's paw prints in the snow. On a tree, two squirrels poked their heads out. When Olivia noticed them, they quickly leapt away. The air was cold but also very refreshing. When Jack came back from his inspections, he saw Olivia leaning against the door. She wasn't wearing a hat, and her hair had only grown out a little. She wasn't much different from being bald. Jack hadn't noticed it last night, and he only realized it now. Your hair. Olivia smiled. It all fell off when I had chemo in the past. It's already starting to grow, so it's fine. It'll slowly grow out anyway. She didn't want to frighten Zach, so she put on her wig beforehand. It looks much better now, right? Her cheerful smile caused Jack to feel a trace of pity. What had she experienced in the years they were apart? Jack could only change the topic. There are compressed cookies in the cabin. We escaped in a hurry this time, so I didn't manage to buy any food. Eat some to fill your stomach first. Olivia ate the dry cookies and drank some mineral water. She was already quite grateful for it. If you hadn't arrived on time last night, I would have become a dead body by now. I wouldn't have a chance to eat cookies like this. What do you plan to do in the future? Plans. Olivia's original goal was to find her two children and Colin. She had already found her children, but Colin was nowhere to be found. Vokmed Mountain was a huge place. She couldn't search the place aimlessly. She thought about Ethan, whom she saw last night. Seeing how he rushed out, he must still have feelings for her. She recalled Everly's message that warned her to be careful of Ethan. Olivia kept feeling as if there were some details she overlooked. What could it be? She seemed to be missing one point. If she could find it, she would be able to link everything together. I don't know. I just wanted to find my children, but I never expected to have someone trying to kill me. Also, Ethan's attitude toward me is quite vague. After leaving this cabin, I have no idea what awaits me. Seeing her hesitant look, Jack took a large gulp of the mineral water before mustering the courage to ask. Have you divorced him? Yes. If you don't mind, I can take you away. Olivia widened her eyes. You? Yes. Since you don't like your original life, there's no point in staying in this city. It's better to go to a place far away from here, and you may find a path that truly belongs to you. Do you remember what you said under the cherry blossoms back then? You desire freedom, and you want to break all the chains and leave without looking back.